This folder, along with Claude Cowork, runs my entire business. There's over 2,000 files in here, and Claude reads these files before doing anything for me. And because of this, I get way better outputs and results, plus I save a ton on token usage. Now, most people use Claude like a simple chatbot, but it forgets everything and the answers are pretty generic. In this video, I'll share with you the exact fix for that with Claude Cowork and a simple folder system. And I'll be giving away the file that sets it all up entirely for free. By the end of this video, Claude will know everything it needs to know about you and your business so that it can deliver the answers you need. It'll know things about your offer, your clients, the way that you talk. It'll take just a few minutes to set up as well. This is the same system that I use to run my business Halfstock, where we build websites, funnels, backend systems for online businesses. And at the end, I'll show you the one mistake almost everyone makes after they set it up. If you get it wrong, the whole system stops working. So let's dive in. So the main problem with AI is that it forgets a lot of things, right? Like I used to use ChatGPT and I'd be pasting in the context of what I was trying to do and, essentially what I was doing with my business, the clients that I was serving. I would paste that in every single time. And, not only did the usage just, drop dramatically because each time I had to give it context, the answers were pretty bad. The answers were pretty generic, right? So, I like to call this like the goldfish problem, right? It's a super smart, like AI is super smart in a sense, but it's only as smart as what you give it, right? So if it can't retrieve the information that it needs, then it's just going to give a kind of a generic answer, right? And one way you can test this right now is whatever you're using, whether you're using Claude or ChatGPT, ask it right now, like, what is my business model? Or something like that, right? Like, what do I do? Who do I serve? If it can't give you like a clear answer, then you have a goldfish, essentially, right? So the fix to this is creating a folder system that your AI or Claude Cowork can read to get the context that it needs to ultimately give you an outcome and a result and an output that is aligned with what you're trying to achieve, right? So it says here, like, the fix is not a better prompt, it's a folder on it's a folder or a system on your computer, right? And the way that we've structured this is essentially like basically three parts, right? We have a handbook, we have a status board, and a filing cabinet. And the handbook is essentially who you are and the rules that you're giving the AI, right? And we call this Claude.md. Then we have the status board, which is essentially what's happening in your world right now with each project. And this doesn't just necessarily need to be for, just only one project, right? Like I know I personally spent many months on my system and my AI infrastructure, where not only do I have my business, but I have a lot of my other projects that I'm working on. Everything from, my health goals to fitness goals, lifestyle goals. And I've fed all of this information. That's just kind of an example, but I've fed all this information into Claude to give me the best outcome, to understand my situation as good as it can be, right? With more context and with more info, it can give better output, right? So, there's a whole debate on privacy and whatnot. I think we're at a point now where if people want to know about you, they're going to find out, right? So for me personally, I'm happy to give up a bit of privacy to actually get better outputs and better results in my business and actually achieve the things that I want to do. We're only here for a short time in this world, so I figure why not, right? But yeah, moving forward, like the status board, essentially what's happening right now, and then the filing cabinet, which is your knowledge base around, the things that you do, the tools that you use. And really, it's just like a knowledge base or knowledge folders is kind of endless in that sense, right? So these filing systems or these folder systems will be created in the live demo, which we're going to run through right now. All right, so we're here in Claude Cowork, and I'll preface this by saying this, I believe it's required to have a paid plan, whether it's a $20 a month, $100 a month or $200 a month. And I think that gives you access to Claude Cowork. I'm personally on the $200 a month plan purely because I'm building websites every single day. And I'm really just using Claude to the full extent. But yeah, whatever you're on, start with the $20 plan, and then see what you need like moving forward. But what we're going to do is we're going to link our AI infrastructure folder. So if you don't have this already, I'd recommend you creating a folder called AI infrastructure. Place it somewhere, whether it's in your documents or on desktop, doesn't really matter, but then give it access to that. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to drag in the file that you can have access to down below. And we're going to paste it in here, and we're just going to go set up. Once it's pasted in, make sure it's connected and actually attached, and then click setup. And we're just going to run through this. And what this is going to do, it's actually going to go through and create the files that you need, right? We're going to give it a bit of context here in a second, a bit of details on, obviously who you are, what kind of business you run, who you serve, and any other details that you may want to add for, context around this, just to give it a bit more information, right? So here we have it. So I've read the guide, your folder is ready. It just contains the guide itself. So let's start the interview. 4 batches of questions, then I confirm everything back to you. Then I build the folders, all right? So batch number 1, identity. What's your full name and what should we call you? Where are you based? I'm just gonna do speech to text on this to get this done a little bit quicker. So my name is Nathan Field. You can call me Nate, N-A-T-E. Where am I based? I'm based in Dubai right now, but I go back and forth between Europe and Australia. Number 3, your role in one sentence. So I'm the founder of a business called Havstock, Havstock, along with my business partner, Taylor. We build, we essentially have a marketing agency. We build funnels and websites and backend systems on Go High Level, and essentially help business owners acquire, nurture, and convert leads into customers, essentially. And we do this through, conversion optimization, building very good designed or very well-designed websites, clean websites, high-ticket call funnels, low-ticket funnels, webinar funnels, lead magnet funnels. And specifically, we have a funnel that we use and we've coined, and we name it Acquisition OS. We also sell templates. Sounds like I'm plugging myself here, but I'm not. I'm just giving it a bit more context. And what are we actually trying to do with your timer over the next 12 months? Ultimately, I want to scale this business up to 100K a month and or more. And I mean, we have multiple different revenue streams. Specifically, we have a community, school community, where people can access if they sign up to our high-level affiliate. And then we have our templates, which we sell as a standalone product on high level and for high level. And then we also have our done-for-you client acquisition systems that we build, and that ranges between at this point in time between 5K and 25K per project. So again, like the more context you give it, the better the outputs you're going to get, and ultimately the better, they're going to help, right? Or the better Claude is going to help in this sense. Right, so we've got that. Going to enter that. So it's got it. Nate, founder of Hardstock with Taylor, based in Dubai, marketing agency, batch number 2. All right. So for each business, side project, or life area, want me to help with, give, name, yes. URL, platform and relevance. All right, so right now we're only going to do one business right now, and that's per one project, and that's Havstock, Havstock. And I gave you some context above as to what we do. Our URL is havstock.com. Status is we're live. We've been in business for over several years now. And the most common task you'll ask me to help with, I would say, designing funnels, designing websites, a lot of copywriting, VSLs, copywriting on websites and funnels as well. Ultimately, just A to Z building funnels. I'd say conversion optimization as well, and backend systems, workflows, a lot of Go High Level. Yeah, so that's a good start. And does it have distinct work no modes needing their own sub workspaces? Yeah, I would say we want a client folder system, and then we want something to have related to Harvstock itself, to HAVSTOCK itself, whether that's like the marketing for that business or for the business, sales for the business, yeah, products as well. Our three main products, we would want to have that, and then subfolders within that as well, right? Now you can also give it context around like your personal life as well, as it says here. I won't bother with that right now, but yeah, everything from like where you live to the kind of person you are. And if you do want to take it a step further, I mean, like there's plenty of how do you say, like personality tests out there, like Myers-Briggs test, disc personality. You want to take it a little bit deeper, there's human design, there's gene keys, there's natal chart, right? There's a lot that you can go into, and I have done this personally. Like it's really kind of interesting to figure out these things about the way that you are and like your base personality and how you operate, right? Yeah, I would really recommend actually looking into that. But okay, so batch 3 knowledge areas. What topics do you want a long-term knowledge base for? This reference material not tied. This is reference material not tied to a single client. Yeah, okay. So we would want to have a knowledge base around, copywriting, around design, around building funnels, building websites. Specifically, the platform like Go High Level, specifically like School, SKOOL, yeah, conversion optimization, SEO, really just everything that goes into creating, or everything that's needed to create the best possible websites, best possible funnels, to help my clients convert as many leads, nurture those leads, and like convert those leads into clients. And really like I guess around messaging too, but then yeah, really just giving them the best, not only like the best results for myself, but the best results for my clients as well. So again, I'm kind of like, I'm trying to power through this so you guys get the understanding of how to set it up, but it's pretty basic. I mean, you just put it into Claude, answer the questions, and the good thing is you can always come back to this and add more context as time goes on, right? Like I do this every day, right? I go in, I make updates. Projects are always changing, tasks are always changing, like the context around, the things that I've learned about myself and the business, like when we're bringing on more employees, when we're hiring, like these kinds of things. Like it's everything that you can update in real time, which is why this folder system is, to me, like just, it's amazing, right? Like it's been so helpful. So, all right, so it's working on that. So working style, batch number 4. Let's run through this. So time preference for how I write. So I'm pretty direct. I'm pretty formal. Sometimes I'm casual. This is a hard one to answer actually, but for now, let's run with that and we can make updates as time goes on. Any hard rules I should always follow? Absolutely no M dashes. Absolutely no double dashes. Yeah, always ask before sending emails. Never send an email by yourself at this point in time. Always be clear over being clever, right? We don't want to use clever language. We just want to speak directly to the person. They need to understand exactly what we're saying, right? So you want use grade 5 reading level. And yeah, clear always over clever. Number 3, you want me to update context files automatically? Yes, I do want you to update context files automatically. Make sure that everything that you're updating is relevant. At the same time, we do want to keep the context MD files not thin, but like streamlined, right? We don't want too much bloat because at the same time, we do want to, be mindful of token usage too. And anything that you should never do, ideally never give me the wrong answer, if that's even possible. But other than that, I think it's pretty good for now. And for those that are wondering, I'm using Super Whisper. I know there's like Whisper Flow, but yeah, I've been using Super Whisper since the since the beginning, so it works. All right, so here's everything back before I build. This is the confirm step. Yeah, for the sake of this video, yep, looks good. Let's build it out. And then that's going to go through, and providing you've given access to the folder, which I'm not too sure. Yeah, so it's got access. So what it's going to do now is going to go through and actually build out the folder system as per the details that we've given it. It's going to create all the context.md files. And, by the end of this, you're going to have a folder system that you can reference each time. A folder system that you can, essentially use to get the tasks done that you need in an efficient manner. So you can see here on the progress section on the right hand side, it's created the root folders, it's created the Claude.md, the context, the references. And you can see here, these are all the files that it's created. And I believe it's, so it's gone through, scaffold the projects for Halfstock with sub workspaces, and it has scaffold in knowledge base. And again, like, it depends on how much context you give it, right? Like, I was pretty thin with the context, so I'd actually recommend like going through and making, like, giving as much context and information as possible, right? So you can see here, status is live. Yep. So this is the basic idea on Halfstock context. This is our instructions. All right, so for reference, here's the Claude file, right? And this is essentially the thing that, this is the file that Claude's going to read every single time you give it a prompt, right? So it's basically like the fork in the road. Based on what you tell it to do, it's going to come through here, it's going to read this every single time, and it's going to take the, the routing table, it's going to read this routing table based on what you tell it to do, and it's going to come through and ultimately find the project that, or the folder that it needs, and then read the context file of that MD, of that folder, right? So for example, say I have a new client, and let's call him John. I say to Claude, hey, I need you to create a new client folder. His name is John, he's XYZ. He sells, puppy slippers, and our goal with him is to create a new website with a lead nurture sequence and an opt-in form and, all this kind of crap. I need you to update the context folder, and then you give me a plan on how we can achieve this goal, right? You can see here, there's a bunch of other stuff here. Common mistakes to avoid. There's the 3-layer context system. After substantial work, update that, session hygiene, execution principles, and rules, right? So we might even just do a quick test here. If I go show in folder, so desktop, into our AI infrastructure, you can see here, here's our guide, but these are all the folders that it's created. So at each time it reads the Claude file, and for context, we have current work, and this will obviously update as time goes on. But here's our knowledge base, and you will need to go through and actually give it the knowledge base, right? So you can actually go through and tell it to do a deep research online, or if you have any, any guides or courses you have purchased in the past, you can actually like transcribe them to text and then put it through Claude and say, hey, update, this section on copywriting, update our knowledge base on design, funnels, all these kinds of things, right? And then it can reference that knowledge base over time, and depending on what you do, right? So for example, we have a bunch of I have a bunch of knowledge base skills and knowledge base files around copywriting, around CRO, design, funnels, stuff that I've accumulated over the years, and I put through into Claude, and I tell it to reference these files every time that I'm trying to do something, right? So you can see there, so our projects. So for the sake of this, let's go through here and say, Claude, I need you to create a new folder for a client in the client folder. His name is John. He sells puppy slippers online, primarily in the big four, like UK, Canada, Australia, and United States, of course. And we're going to build out a new website for him, an e-com store. And, the goal here is to acquire leads. So I'm thinking we do like a pop-up form for 10% off. We need a conversion sequence, a nurture sequence. We also need like a proven structure on how to set up the website, what pages to put in, what kind of funnel, like on the product page, how to optimize the checkout page, and any other details that you think that we should add. I mean, the goal here is just to sell as many puppy slippers as possible. So create this folder and then give me a plan on how I can actually achieve that. So, I mean, this is kind of like a butchered example, but the whole point of this kind of video is to get you set up and using this, because over time, you know, the time that you invest in setting this folder system up, you know, if Claude ceases to exist at some point later on, you still have your knowledge base, right? Like there'll be other Claudes, there'll be, you know, other ChatGPTs, I'm sure of it. If for whatever reason they, you know, decide to go out of business or whatever. But the point is, you know, we build this knowledge base, and over time, day in, day out, updating the knowledge base, updating the context files, and, you know, your AI infrastructure as a whole, that is an asset that you can use, you know, daily moving forward, not only for, you know, your main business, but for whatever other projects that you have in the future, right? I have plenty of other projects that I'm working on in the behind the scenes, you know, fitness goals, lifestyle goals, you know, things that I want to do, bucket list items, you know, but these kinds of things, right? And I guess the idea here is that you can really let your imagination run wild with this, right? Like you don't just need to stick to business, you can use it for every other element or area in your life, right? All right, so Claude's done. He's created the folder John Puppy Slippers under clients, and we can see this here. We're showing folder. You can see here under clients, he's created John Puppy Slippers, and in the context, I believe, yeah, so it's also updated that we have active clients as, you know, John Puppy Slippers, and then a little bit of context around that. And it even tells you to see the client, right? Like see the context client. So you can see here, gone in, there's context about John and his puppy slippers business. And then also he's created a build plan draft that we can use moving forward to ultimately, you know, do the job as to what John has paid us to do, right? Obviously needs a bit more detail in that. But, you know, for the purpose of like getting started, I think, yeah, it does a really good job. So yeah, that's how I would essentially set up a new client under the folder. And again, like there's many different ways you could like, you know, use this. For example, I could say, you know, Claude, summarize my business in 3 sentences. So like now, given that it's got a ton of context about the business, it's a lot easier to get the information that you need, right? So it says here, Halfstock is a marketing agency you co-founded with Taylor, built on high level that helps business owners acquire, nurture, convert leads through well-designed websites, files, and backend systems, yada yada, right? So that's yeah, that's essentially how it works. And the big mistake that most people take or do, I guess, when they install this is they go straight back to the normal chatbot, right? You really don't want to do this. You really want to do every single task inside the folder, right? If you don't do this, it never gets smarter. So every single task that you have, I would recommend you use Claude Cowork. Make sure it's connected to the folder, and that way it's actually going to give, it's going to update the context files as time goes on, and yeah, it's going to be a lot more beneficial in the future for you. So a quick recap of this video, chat AI is more or less a goldfish unless you don't have a proper system in place. And the fix for this is a folder system using Claude Cowork. It's a handbook, a status board, and a filing cabinet, that 3-layer system. The free file builds it for you in about 10 minutes. Answer the interview in detail like you're being interviewed, right? And once it's built, start every single task inside the folder so that it can update and get smarter as time goes on. Now, that's the whole system. The file is in the description down below for free. If you want the full client acquisition system that we run on top of this, the community link is down there too. or you can head to school.com/consulting. So hope that was helpful, guys. If it was, drop a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.